For over 30 years, the world saw André Rieu as the man who made millions smile. Audiences believed they knew him, the king of the waltz, with the effortless charm and the glittering concerts. But behind that carefully polished grace was a man fighting a private battle that no spotlight ever revealed. The truth is far heavier than the bow he carried. André Rieu has been living two lives, one for the world and one for survival. The child of silence and the secret refuge. André's double life began in a house where discipline overshadowed childhood. His father, a respected conductor, ruled their home with the same cold precision he demanded from his orchestras. There was no room for laughter or affection. Creativity was dismissed as weakness. At age 5, a young violin mentor unlocked something the rigid Rieu household never allowed: safety. For the first time, André realized music could be a refuge. It was his first secret life, a quiet rebellion against a home where tenderness had no voice. When André finally chose to follow his heart, both in music and in love, his mother's fury erupted. He walked out of his childhood home in 1968 and never looked back. But the silence of that final walk stayed with him, carving the first fracture between the man he showed the world and the wounded child hiding behind elegance. The hidden rebellion of the waltz. By the 1970s, André was a young musician at the conservatory in Brussels, where technique was worshipped and emotion was scorned. Professors mocked the waltz as a childish ornament. To survive, André built a second life hidden behind politeness and conformity. His true self only appeared in 1978 when he founded the Maastricht Salon Orchestra. While traditionalists sneered, André was building a life that finally belonged to him, supported by the invisible backbone of his artistry, his wife, Marjorie. She shielded him from the logistical chaos, so his fragile dream could live. In 1987, he formalized this revolution with the Johann Strauss Orchestra. The world saw joy, but behind the scenes, André was already pushing himself toward a dangerous level of exhaustion. The breaking point, 2010. By the early 90s, André's workload was staggering. He wasn't just the performer, he was the producer, financier, and caretaker for hundreds of employees. He smiled because he had to. A global phenomenon could never show pain. In 2010, the weight finally crushed him. A viral infection attacked his vestibular nerve, destroying his inner balance. For a violinist, it was catastrophic. The room spun violently. He couldn't even stand, let alone play. While the public saw temporary postponements, André was in a dark fight for his identity. He eventually recovered using specialized exercises, but his equilibrium remained permanently damaged. This was the cruelest chapter of his double life: the maestro adored by millions on stage, and the man battling instability and fear in the shadows. The grief and the collapse in Mexico. In 2016, tragedy struck again. His longtime friend and trombonist, Ruud Merckx, died suddenly. The orchestra was a family, and the loss gutted André. A subtle silence began to appear in his shows, a single missing bar between pieces, a private, unannounced tribute to a friend he could not forget. By March 2024, the relentless pace caught up to him again in Mexico City. High altitude, jet lag, and a severe flu triggered a medical crisis backstage. He was breathless and disoriented. Over 40,000 ticket holders were left in shock as shows were canceled, and the orchestra was sent home mid-tour. It was a warning André could no longer outrun. Pierre, the gatekeeper of survival. In the wake of the Mexico collapse, a new figure stepped into the light: André's son, Pierre. Pierre transitioned from tour manager to his father's shield. He rewrote André's life with medical precision. Strict limits, mandatory rest periods, and limits on encore lengths. Medical supervision, heart rate checks, and oxygen availability are now part of every rehearsal. Geography, a shift toward Europe-only performances to avoid intercontinental strain. For the first time in his career, André no longer controls the pace of his own life. Pierre enforces these rules with a firmness fans never see, constantly asking one question: can my father do this without breaking? The final gamble. Today, at 75, André Rieu's life is a masterpiece of preservation. His castle in Maastricht is no longer just a symbol of success, but a sanctuary of recovery. He still plays every afternoon in his private studio, touching the violin like an old friend. However, there is a secret being whispered in the halls of the royal time of Hollywood. André and Pierre are weighing the possibility of one final, massive world tour. It would be the biggest of his life, but also the most dangerous. André Rieu has spent 30 years carrying the weight of 2 lives. Every note he plays now is a quiet victory over the silence of his past and the instability of his present. He kept the music alive at a cost the world is only just beginning to understand. André Rieu has given his life to his audience, but the toll has been immense. Should he attempt one final world tour to say goodbye, or is it time for him to protect his health and let the curtain fall on his own terms? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to discover more untold stories about the icons you love, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Royal Time of Hollywood. Don't forget to hit the bell notifications